Spider-Man has been one of my favorite superheroes since the 90s animated series that I watched when I was a kid. Since then, I've enjoyed many other portrayals of the character in television, movies, and video games. One such portrayal was in Marvel's Spider-Man, developed by Insomniac Games. This game was the first in a series that has now expanded to 3 games. While I have enjoyed them all, the first is probably my favorite of the series so far. I felt like the story was robust, yet focused, and had many memorable moments. Since it had so many great story moments, I wanted to share my favorite moments from the game. As always with lists like this, my rankings are just my opinion. They're just how much I liked these moments. I know others will have lists that may look quite different than mine. Let me know your favorite moments, as it's always really interesting to me what moments stick with others and why. Also, this list is going to contain spoilers. While I feel like this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, I want to make sure that those watching these kind of videos are fully aware of the spoilers that this list will include. Often in story games, the most powerful moments are ones involved in big moments and revelations in the game. So consider yourself warned, and let's get to the list. At number 5, I have City Hall bombing. For the first half of the game, you're dealing with the emergence of a new masked gang named the Inner Demons after defeating Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, and creating a power vacuum in the city. While you've been able to uncover some information about them and thwart some attacks with the help of allies like Mary Jane and NYPD officer Jefferson Davis, there is still much you don't know about this new threat. This all changes with this event. Not only does it reveal truths about the Inner Demons, but it impacts some characters very significantly as well. The setup is that Mayor Norman Osborn is holding a re-election event at City Hall, and Jefferson Davis is being honored for his heroism, with many characters like Peter, MJ, and Miles Morales also attending. During the event, Osborn receives an anonymous threat and leaves the rally early. The Inner Demons then attack the rally using suicide bombers, killing a number of people in the process, including Officer Davis. While the attack is happening, Peter witnesses Martin Lee, the founder of Feast, transform into Mr. Negative and lead the attack. He is unable to act on this as he tries to save MJ from the explosions and is knocked out. This then gives you the opportunity to play as Miles and find his mother and father. This event is significant for a couple of reasons. First, it confirms the suspicion that Martin Lee is Mr. Negative. This event happens right after Peter finds notes left by Lee and a hidden room in Feast that points to Lee being Mr. Negative. And this came as a pretty big surprise to me, since I didn't really know the character and Lee seemed so kind and genuinely caring that to have him be the main villain for like the first half to 3/4 of the game was kind of surprising. The other is that this event heavily impacts Miles Morales. Jefferson Davis was his father, and his death has a huge impact on his life, as the death of any father would. This event is the catalyst for his own journey to becoming a Spider-Man, as it puts him into Peter's orbit and eventually gets him bitten by a genetically modified spider as well. There's just a lot that happens in this event, and it feels like a turning point in the narrative. While I didn't love the whole Peter getting knocked out so easily part of the event, the significance of it places it on the list. At number 4, I have Prison Break. Mr. Negative is the main villain for a good portion of the game. So when you defeat him as he tries to escape from Grand Central Station, it's easy to think that the main conflict is over. You've recovered the Devil's Breath and taken out Mr. Negative, so the game should be wrapping up, right? That's not the case at all. While talking with your Aunt May, a new report comes on saying that the Devil's Breath has been taken from police custody. As you arrive on the scene, you are then told that a prison break is happening at Rikers and that the two events seem to be coordinated. This results in you having to fight your way through hordes of escaped inmates. As you progress, you realize that the Raft, the prison that holds enhanced and superhuman criminals, is also failing, and many of your big villains like Electro, Rhino, Scorpion, and Vulture have escaped, as well as the recently captured Mr. Negative. These villains all wind up cornering you, and while Spider-Man puts up a good fight, they eventually overwhelm him and he is incapacitated. At this point, Dr. Octopus makes his debut, warning Spider-Man to not get in his way before tossing him to the waters below. This event was just action-packed, and it was great to see and interact with so many memorable Spider-Man villains. It basically creates the Sinister Six, which is pretty cool. Also, to see Otto finally descend into villainy is a sad but expected turn of events. Having Peter work with Otto for so much of the game really gets you connected to him, and to see him succumb to his anger and hatred of Osborn makes for a powerful moment. However, you can't deny that the man plans amazingly, as he is able to steal the Devil's Breath, create an allegiance with 5 of Spider-Man's villains, and take him down. That Octavius then unleashes the Devil's Breath upon Manhattan just further solidifies his status as a villain not to be messed with. I felt like this moment really took the game to the next level. Instead of just facing off against one main villain, you now had a new main villain who just made the earlier main villain one of his lackeys. It's a great way of expanding the threat of the game, and it's just done so well in my opinion. At number 3, I have Spider-Man Near Death. After the breakout from the raft, Spider-Man has to take on each of the escaped villains and bring them down so that they can return to prison. He's able to fight and subdue Electro, Vulture, Rhino, and Scorpion. After apprehending these villains, you then run into Mr. Negative at the lab where a cure for the Devil's Breath is located. While you are able to defeat Mr. Negative, Dr. Octopus once again makes an entrance and leaves Spider-Man critically wounded. While maybe not as great of a spectacle as the prison break, this event just felt weightier. You had been able to succeed so quickly at taking on the other villains that it can be easy to forget that Peter is just one person, even if he is a super powered person. Taking that all on, and then eventually trying to also protect a vial of cure is a lot, and Doc Ock's arms are no joke. I think what really makes this moment shine though is seeing the reactions of others to Spider-Man's condition. Well, you know that Peter is going to pull through, and that having him be that wounded right before the final battle is a bit unrealistic even for a comic-based video game, it was still a powerful and emotional moment in the game. At number 2, I have the death of May. Speaking of emotional moments, there is no moment that is quite as emotional as May's death. Due to the release of Devil's Breath, May eventually gets sick and her condition continues to deteriorate. This adds to Peter's haste to try to take out Otto and retrieve the cure as fast as possible. By the time that Peter is able to do this though, he is faced with an impossible dilemma. May doesn't have long to live, but Peter has the cure and could help her right there. However, if he does this, there won't be enough to help cure everyone else who is ill in time. It's a terrible decision, but thankfully Peter doesn't have to make it alone. It turns out that May has known that Peter is Spider-Man for some time. She tells him that she's proud of him and ultimately that he knows what the right choice is. It's an emotional moment and feels like the kind of hard decisions that Spider-Man is always forced to make. It's such an emotional moment that it even comes up in future games in the series as Peter holds the guilt of not being able to save his beloved aunt. And at number 1, I have Such a Disappointment, Parker. Well, I did think about sticking Aunt May's death at the top spot. I had to give the top spot to the moment when Dr. Octavius reveals that he's known that Peter was Spider-Man. You spend a decent amount of time in the game in close relationship with Dr. Octavius. Peter is working for him and the two seem to have a solid relationship, with Otto almost taking a fatherly place in Peter's life. These activities help give you emotional investment in the relationship, which makes Otto's descent into evil and vengeance feel weighty and tragic. What you don't know is that at some point Otto figures out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. This is revealed during the final battle and lands an emotional blow on Peter. It was one thing for his former mentor and boss to have turned to evil, but to have known that Peter was Spider-Man while doing so was devastating. Dr. Octopus had hurt and almost killed Spider-Man, knowing it was Peter the entire time and doing it anyway. This betrayal angered Peter as Octavius tried to place the blame on Peter for being against him. Peter angrily fought Otto both physically and ideologically, as Peter had never betrayed Otto and only wanted to be like him. Peter is ultimately victorious, but this victory is costly as Peter completely loses faith in one of the men he most admired. While I do sometimes hate the idea, especially in movies and games, that secret identities are figured out so easily, I thought this revelation was handled really well. Octavius wasn't just a villain who had scant interaction with Peter, but was someone who worked closely with him and who even found Peter working on his spider suit earlier in the game. So overall, it made a bit more sense here than in some cases, and was used to great effect. It added another tragic layer to the already tragic fall of Otto Octavius. And those are my 5 favorite moments from Marvel's Spider-Man. They're certainly not the only great moments from the game, but these are the ones that I'd place at the top of the list. Do you have moments that didn't make my list that you loved? Ones that you would switch the order of? Let me know in the comments, as it's always fun to see what moments other people really enjoy. That's all for this video though, so I'll see you in the next one.